Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the May 20th, 2025 meeting of the Orange Town Plan and Zoning Commission. I am Commissioner Ozzie Parenti, and with us this evening, we have
Paul
Commissioner, let me,
Oh, go ahead.
just because we have a new person,
I think he knows his name.
Commissioner Paul Kaplan, Administrative Assistant Jenny Bowser, Commissioner Kevin Cornell, newly sworn-in Commissioner Jay McGuire.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
zoning enforcement officer Jack Demerjen. Yeah, you were just sworn in today?
This morning, yes.
Very good. And so Jay's appointed by the first selectman to fill the unexpired term, Judy's unexpired.
It's got to be another, what, a few years, right?
I think she was just elected in the last
Yeah.
cycle, yes.
Oh, you're in for a while.
So you'll get your nameplate soon
Okay.
and a copy of the regulations. And like I said, I expect we'll have a pretty brief meeting this evening. We have
Yeah,
a pretty short agenda.
we do it in paper at first, just in case it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And then they'll give you one with plastic ones.
I have the crayons in the back.
But anyway, let's get right to our agenda. The first item is a review of the minutes from the May 6th, 2025 meeting. Jay, you should have those, right? Yep. All right. I took a look at them, Jenny, and I have no comments to make.
I did not have any comments either.
Thank you, Kevin.
Move that we approve the minutes for the May 6, 2025 meeting as submitted.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes from the May 6th meeting. It's been seconded. All those in favor?
aye,
Aye. And
Abstain.
Jay abstains, correct?
you.
Okay. All right. Next item on our agenda is is old business, and under old business specifically, we wanted to review the drafted language to prohibit smoke, vape, and tobacco stores. This is the language that would be published in connection with a public hearing to be held soon thereafter, within the next 30 to 60 days.
I think we're ready, referral-wise for the next meeting date, if
Okay.
you want to move forward with it.
All right, so I think at the last meeting, we just, what we agreed to do was just have one more final look at the language, and then, consider a vote to submit it to a public hearing. So did anybody have any additional comments they'd like to make on the proposed regulations?
so I have a couple of, comments to discuss. In general, I think it follows the guidelines we gave the town attorney, which was that we were looking to prohibit these uses in the zoning districts. I just wanted to make sure that it was, number one, that we agreed that it doesn't cover the existing cigar lounges in the town. And did you say that?
I did, so the way we define the outdoor seating and for cigar stores, outdoor seating shall only be allowed by special permit as an incidental use to an established cigar store, cigar lounge, and/or cigar bar. So we specifically use the word cigar in that category. We use tobacco, vape, and smoke here.
Okay, so you believe that as the person who's gonna have the initial enforcement and review, that you'll be, it's easy enough to distinguish between those uses?
I have a suggestion.
Yeah,
I think your
Comment is, well, is that Vinnie's language?
Correct, yeah, that's,
I got no problem with it, but why not say that when you're listing the stuff for vaping and so forth that's prohibited, and you just put in parenthetical excluding cigars? So
Yeah,
that it's
I think-
clear that you're
Sure.
not,
Yeah, because that language is not clear, now that you raised this
Yeah.
point, Kevin.
Okay.
You know,
So we wanna make
it
sure.
says a retail establishment where 20% or more of the retail area is dedicated to the sale of tobacco and related products containing tobacco. Well, that's cigars, right? And a cigar shop is 100% dedicated to selling cigars,
tobacco.
or
Tobacco, yeah.
selling tobacco.
You could certainly interpret it that way.
So we want to exclude cigar lounges and bars from
prohibition.
from the prohibition, okay.
Yeah,
Is that what you're getting at, or?
well, that's one of the things, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good, that's a
So-
good distinction.
He's got a litany of things.
So under the definition.
Under 5 isn't a litany.
Under the definition for smoke shop, Jack. I would add another sentence there,
At the end?
at the end of that definition, and I would say, you know, cigar
Cigar, stores,
stores.
lounges, and/or bars. that's
Yeah,
what I was-
are not meant to be included
And/or bars.
within the definition of smoke shop.
And then have the same sentence under vape shop?
Yeah, I mean, that language could be a little bit better, but
Are not meant to be included in this definition?
in the definition of smoke shop.
Okay, so in this definition. And put the same thing under,
Paul, does that work? You all right with that?
Yeah, I was gonna say excluded, but they both things work.
All right.
and you want that again under, tobacco?
Under
Or
vape shop.
Vape shop, okay.
Is that gonna create like a loophole though? Where a vape shop or smoke shop comes in and says, yeah, I'll just put a couple tables in, and now I'm off, I'm a lounge?
What is the minimum requirement? What is the,
Cause the only thing you're distinguishing is really where they're gonna smoke them, right? Cause I know that if you go to the cigar shops now, you can buy cigars and leave.
Right. But you can't buy, the other things that are described under the definition of smoke shop, right?
I don't
So-
know, I think you can buy other stuff too,
Can you?
cigarettes, yeah. I don't know,
Existing today, yeah, I'm not sure.
yeah.
So, but it's.
Well, e-cigarettes,
Right, I mean, it's a good point where, let's say a cigar store is selling, pretty much only cigars and then puts, one display of electronic cigarettes. Does that now I think it makes them a smoke shop, like that's what we're after.
Right.
So they wouldn't be able to do
Well,
that.
I think we make it
well,
clear the
not
definition.
not if it's not 20%.
But that's where we get into another question, which is, I think our intent is the smoke shops and the vape shops that are basically selling all of these nicotine delivery systems, for want of a better description.
Yeah, cherry and grape and everything
Yeah.
else, yeah.
And that whatever combination of smoke or vape products they're selling, if it exceeds 20% in the aggregate
of their gross sales?
of their retail
Their
selling
space.
area,
Floor area,
of the retail
Floor
area.
yeah.
You know, if more than 20% of their retail space is given over to that sale of those products, they're prohibited.
Should-
So we're not trying to capture the incidental
We're not-
tobacco sales at a
Right.
gas station mini market.
Right.
How about if we said,
Are we, is that what we're doing? I mean, I just want to make sure we're articulating that so we everybody's on the same page.
well, I think,
So we're not going to prohibit it, right? It's going to be under 20% of the threshold. They can sell that stuff and still not be a smoke shop in
not
the.
be,
in the-
not be banned.
Right.
That could be the mini mart at a gas station
Right.
is sort of what I was.
And just to, I forgot your first name already, I'm sorry.
Jay.
Jay's point, if it's less than 20% in the cigar shop, meaning of the stuff,
It wouldn't turn it in the cigar lounge.
Wouldn't turn into a
It would
smoke
not
shop.
tr- Yeah, it would not trigger the.
I mean, that's what we're shooting for. The language is another story, but I
Right.
think, I agree with that.
Understood, yeah, I think the intent is clear. We just gotta be comfortable with.
I think in the definition, a retail establishment where 20% or more of the retail area, why don't we say retail floor area?
Yep, And Jack knows that that means the area accessible to the consumers.
Not
Or no,
Ex-
no, no,
excluding the
no, no,
bathroom
no,
in the
you know
back.
what?
Bathroom,
Here's what I
storage.
would do. I would take out the word retail there and just say, a retail establishment where 20% or more of the floor area is dedicated to the sale of tobacco and related products containing tobacco, et cetera.
Well, that is gonna include the parts of the building that are not accessible to the customers.
Right.
Yeah, wouldn't that be simpler, though? I mean,
It would be, but
I
then
mean, in
you
other
might.
words, if you had
Increase the area
Huh?
significantly.
what's
Right.
that?
It would increase all of the areas, including the 20% significantly. Whereas, I'm sorry.
Whereas if you keep it to the retail area, it's just where the consumer can go, excluding the bathrooms and the back rooms
Yeah,
and so forth.
you might have
Yeah.
to alter the percentage to say like 15% if
Right.
you're taking the gross floor area.
Well, that's what that's what I'm
That was
getting
the
at.
next step.
Yeah,
Okay,
because just from an enforcement
it would be easier for
standpoint,
Jack
you know,
that way.
he, looks at
Which
their
would-
lease or whatever, it's 100, it's 1,000
Roads
square
would-
feet.
Right, just, yeah, the whole, enforcement wise, I think you are correct.
So we
What's
don't have
the
to make it,
usual, what's the usual back room, bathrooms? Is
Yeah,
there a
it's tough. It
percentage?
could be different. You know, what if only half of the building is dedicated towards that space? Then, you know, that turns it into a big number.
Then
for-
it just makes it harder to do.
That's Jack's problem, right?
No, it
No.
just makes it,
I
it
was fine
makes,
with that.
it makes the sales, it makes trying to sell these products harder,
right.
which is not a problem as
It
far as.
it makes
for prohibiting
selling the
it.
products in compliance with the regulations more difficult.
Yeah. But we might want to take another meeting just to work out language and
Yeah,
percentages in
definitely.
our minds. Because I think quite easily, Jack could look at a couple of plans
Schematics.
upstairs of a couple of retail stores
Better
and
than
say,
taking the tape measure down and figuring out
yeah,
the
I mean,
retail.
I
Yeah,
could,
And,
Understood, yeah.
and quibbling about, what you have in this aisle and that
Right.
rack,
Right.
and,
right. And
Yeah,
then,
no point taken.
so, I mean, I could tell you that in that type of market space, there's not that much in a back room because you want everything to be on sale and
Yeah.
displayed.
yeah.
So most of your back office stuff is really just a small room and a bathroom. And everything else is customer facing.
All right, so
So
then we're
who-
still down to reducing the percentage, but how we, I don't know what the number is gonna be.
Right, I mean, but, so then,
I don't even know how we got to the 20%, quite frankly.
It was taken out of, I think, Milford's language.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any magic to that. I mean,
No, it's fine with me. I mean, I just wanted to, if we're gonna reduce it, we're guessing at 15?
Yeah, I'm not even sure what your average store does now. Is it 5% or are they hovering, around 15, closer to 20? I don't know.
I think if you walk into those places, it's pretty much wall to wall, isn't it? I mean,
And
that's
in
what
the-
they sell.
In the mini marts and stuff like that.
Yeah, it depends on where you
Why,
are.
why wouldn't, if our goal is to prohibit it, those type of uses,
Well, or to reduce it significantly.
yeah, why would we care if it's 10% or less?
Well, I don't think you're gonna impact a gas station if it says 10% of the selling area, as an example. I mean,
Right.
because they have aisles of products and then.
It's
an
usually
area.
all behind the counter, yeah.
Well, yeah, because if it's not behind the counter, it's out the door. So,
Well, Vinnie's office drafted these.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can go back to him and explain that, those 2 points. One, we don't want to, catch cigar shops in the net. And two, rather than, have to identify the retail area, we just say floor area.
Floor area of
Yeah.
the,
I mean, I think the easy way
Of
to
the
fix
whole,
that is.
yeah, of the establishment.
Yeah, I mean, or 20% or more of the, and I take out retail and put in floor area, and I think that solves the problem, but those are the 2 things we want to accomplish.
and then if somebody is trying to skirt this by having a section that they're calling the smoke shop and a section they're calling the vape shop. We want that, whatever percentage we pick, to be the aggregate of those uses.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I note that there's, he used the term floor area. I'm not sure I know what that is. I mean, intuitively, I kind of do.
What you pay rent on.
Yeah, so it's not gross leasable area. It's,
You
we
know.
don't have to parse.
Yeah,
okay.
you're starting to parse,
Yeah,
because
okay.
sometimes,
My lawyer
you know, the leasable area includes some common area
Yeah.
that you don't actually enclose, but you paid rent on.
The only reason I even brought it up is that you gave us a whole bunch of definitions here.
This was the full section that we are revising, so I wanted to give you the full section.
Okay.
Even though most of them we're not discussing today.
Okay.
Under the definition of vape shop, you have that same 20% or more of the retail area.
Yeah.
So you're gonna
Floor,
wanna make that consistent.
and we still want to stick with that sentence that we added at the end. We think that clears up the,
Well, you
not to
can,
catch
you can
cigars in the
suggest, it,
crossfire.
you know,
Yeah.
I may, you know, if I had a little more time with it.
No, I think that's fine.
That
It's-
probably accomplish it. If
Yeah.
Vinnie's office thinks that
Yeah.
they could do better with it, that's fine.
And
Can you,
I think, sorry.
can you
Jack, go
limit the advertisement on it? Like, so, cause there is a shop in Branford where 80% of it is selling milk and soda and stuff. And then the rest of the business is vapes and pipes and
Yeah.
everything else, right?
Right.
And on the front, that's all you see. And the stuff on the shelves is 100 years old, no one's buying it. I don't know why they did it, but what you really wanna stop is the whole front of the building saying vape, you know, this, that, and the other thing too. you
I
know?
mean, we have tight sign regulations as they are. We can't, we gotta be careful with signage, because you do have to let people advertise certain aspects of their business. I mean, we want businesses to be successful. But yes, I think one of the big purposes of us prohibiting this is they're not aesthetically pleasing establishments for, you know, our stretch of the post road. So I think that does come into it, but
Do we allow window signs like that?
we allow window signage, certain signage, but we don't restrict
Content.
yeah, we have to be very careful with restricting content. Size, location, lighting, things like that, we have a lot of discretion over, but content, we do have to be a little careful
Listen,
with.
if we're restricting the square footage of their, you know, of the stuff they're selling that we don't like, but, you know, I think that's as good as we're gonna do.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree.
And as a suggestion to the drafters, the aggregation language probably wants to be in that section 6 original definition of where you're saying all smoke shops, tobacco stores, and vape shops, as defined, are prohibited, you know.
Where are you, Kevin?
The first
the
page.
First page.
Where it starts
Section
red.
six.
Yeah,
If we're trying to use that 20% as an aggregate for any of these uses, maybe the aggregation language
in this section,
Yeah.
gotcha,
belongs there. But talk to the people who are drafting it.
understood.
It's just that you don't want to, when you look at this and you have 3 things, and then you go and 2 of them are further defined and have 20%,
All right, do you get 20% per each?
I
of
would
them?
argue that you get 20% of each of them.
Yeah,
What was the language they knocked out and just, that red language?
this is the moratorium, so we
Oh.
would be getting rid of our moratorium for this permanent solution.
Got it,
Yeah.
okay.
Ozzy, do you not have that section?
Well, I have, the first page I have is the 383-14 definitions, right?
No,
Yep.
there's
I
one
was-
that says 383-19.
Oh, yeah, they're swapped,
Oh, you know what? I'm looking at the one we
yes.
passed out last week. All right.
Okay.
Yes, I see it now.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Biden.
No, these were, but they're not in order, though. 383-19 is the first section, right?
right, yes,
And then the definition.
and then it goes into definitions,
Yeah,
right.
which are, right, okay. But yes, I'm fine with the prohibit, you know, the prohibitory language.
Right.
And we should include, Kevin, the aggregate language of all uses, I think that's a good idea.
Someplace,
Yeah.
it should be clear that whatever percentage we pick, whether it's 10, 15, 20,
Applies
that
to all
it's
of them,
to the aggregate of all of these prohibited uses.
Yes.
I think that's a good idea.
So I think we're there.
Yeah,
mean,
I
Other
think-
than a few,
Yep, I think we got a couple,
but you understand what we,
I do, yes. I think we got a couple
Substantively.
notes. If for any reason I want to clarify, I'm sure I can reach out to somebody here and they'll make it very clear for me. Yeah,
all right,
thanks.
so we'll revisit this at,
Yes,
at
I will
our
put
next-
that on our next.
Hopefully at our next meeting.
agenda. We'll hold off on the public hearing.
All right. All right, anything else on that, or we all set? Okay. Anything else under old business? No? All right. Under new business, we, on our agenda, call out the proposed text amendment language regarding section 383-189, which I've taken a look at. And Kevin, you're gonna have to explain this, because,
So
I'm
when
just
we
not
considered, when we were considering the application for the coffee shop at the old Subway location at the intersection of Bull Hill and Route 1, one of the concerns there that I had and others seemed to share was that there was a lot of decorative accent lighting that's only purpose was to call out that location in a blue neon. Now, as a temporary measure for that application, which was in front of us, we basically shielded that, the direct glare of that blue neon from the drivers and removed, I think, we're probably not gonna have a problem with them when it's actually installed. But to not run into this problem in an ongoing basis, my suggestion was that if we included that type of accent lighting into the allowable square footage of the signage that a tenant was allowed to have on a particular elevation, people would use it a lot more judiciously rather than washing it. And so, what this is doing is directing Jack, when he's measuring those signage on plans that are submitted, to include the accent lighting in the calculation.
And you grab the definition of the accent lighting first.
Right.
So that we know what we're talking about.
Yep.
And then you included it in all of the lighting, so as to let them make the decision as to how they wanna parse their lighting.
The allowable square footage.
Paul, make sure you're using your microphone.
Gotta do
No,
your-
yeah.
I,
You got IT'd.
Oh, okay.
I think the statute you proposed to the reg you proposed to change, section 189, just goes to the size of the signs. And
Right.
I thought our issue with that application was that we were hesitant about the source of the lighting being visible.
And what we did is, we took the signage regulations, were very strong on neon, and it being visible,
Right.
okay? So we are already protected from the visibility aspect. So now, what we're doing is, we're gonna cut down the quantity effectively by making the non-visible accent lighting part of the sign itself.
You're of the opinion that the accent lighting, unless we put something like this in, would be somehow interpreted separately, because we didn't have any restriction on it? Someone's gonna come in and say,
The
hey,
only restriction is it wouldn't be visible, the direct illumination. So
Right.
effectively, everyone could come in and put a neon top hat on their retail building as long as it was in an alcove. And we'd have all of this color washing down the facades. So as a look on the Las Vegas Strip, that might be fine.
yeah, no, I'm with you on the concept, and actually with the language too. I was just curious that our current regulations, you don't think cover this particular situation?
They don't limit how much of it someone can put in, only that it has to be indirect lighting.
Interesting.
Paul,
Okay.
look at 383, 186, oh, you don't have,
No, no.
I got it right.
Rental car, yeah.
186D.
186D. Light and motion. No flashing, revolving, or moving signs are permitted. LED signs, neon lighting, accents, and signs where the source of light is visible are prohibited. All lighting of signs shall be indirect with all sources of artificial illumination located out of doors, including spotlights, floodlights, shielded or otherwise arranged that such sources are not visible from any street or other lot.
So we're well covered.
And that's in any district, any,
So neon is covered there, but it's not,
It's not limited.
right.
This would limit how much of it someone would put on a facade.
Yeah, if we,
If we include it in the total lighting that they're allowed, I think it's smart,
Okay.
you know.
So where the edge of the lighting would count towards their signage calculation.
It'd be the edge of their sign,
Right.
effectively.
And there, for buildings, you can only cover 15% of the wall that you are mounted to with the sign.
so say that again?
For building signs mounted on, the front of the building, you can only cover 15% of the facade, or the
With the sign.
face with the sign. So they'd be sacrificing the size of their sign for the lighting, which, would discourage people from having a lot of lighting.
Wow,
I think.
that's a lot of signage.
15%?
Oh, yeah. I mean, every other town, I used to clap if you could get 2 square foot for every linear foot of frontage. Well, let's see, so if you had a 20-foot facade, you
Right.
got 2 square feet,
What's that?
that'd be 2 out of 20, 1 out of 10, 10%. Okay, never mind.
And keep in mind, we do restrict a lot of signage pretty much everywhere else, so maybe the idea was give them the one big sign on the building.
Right. So what's the next step if we like this language?
If we decide to move forward with it, I would start noticing, send it out to the regional planning authorities, to any adjacent municipalities that would be impacted, and then in 30 days, we could vote on it, and hold a public hearing and vote on it, if we'd like.
I don't have any objection, I mean, I think it's,
Yeah,
anything to restrict,
yeah, so this wouldn't have worked on the application wouldn't have complied.
Correct.
because it was shielded?
No, because they
No.
basically wrapped the entire perimeter of the building.
And they,
Right.
they
That
did it in
purple
such a
neon.
way where the source of the lighting was not visible, so that complied with the regular.
With this, I
But
gotcha.
what Kevin is,
that should be considered part of the sign.
well, he's saying
They
it
turned
allows
the
them to.
entire facade into a sign.
Yes, but they did it in a way that complied with the statutes, or
Yes.
the
Well,
regulations.
there's nothing prohibiting them
Yeah,
from doing it
no,
as
then
it
it
stands right
complies.
now, you know?
And
I
keep-
mean,
And I'm not
I
sure
don't
this
know.
is gonna do it either, right?
Yes.
This will take care of it, you think?
Well, so we got what we could on the last application, which
Yeah,
was,
no, I
it was
get that.
shielded,
Right.
all right? But it's around the whole building.
Mm-hmm.
Next time, when they have their little logo, and they want the logo to be big, because the accent's just an accent, the logo is what's gonna bring people into the
recognizable,
place.
yeah.
So they'll only be able to like accent the logo
That-
in a shielded manner.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that may be, I don't know, I imagine that there may be a lot of, franchises, where that look is trademarked or whatever. Or is the trademark design, trademark's probably the wrong.
Well,
I think
Word
the
to use.
logos can be trademarked, I don't think accent.
No, I don't mean, I don't care whether it's trademark.
you
it's
think that
just-
we're gonna have a problem and some pushback on?
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure McDonald's has.
I gotta tell you, down in Long Island, as you go over Port Jeff,
Yeah,
McDonald's complied with that, it's much
Yeah.
different than any other McDonald's you've ever seen.
yeah, no, I mean, I guess we got,
Yeah.
all I'm saying is we've gotta be ready for that.
Yeah, I think-
Because, if it,
Yeah, but I don't think that, so there was a Supreme Court case,
Mm-hmm.
actually, because I think it was Simsbury or one of those up near Avon,
Right.
forced the McDonald's to like change the color of their logo.
I saw that today,
and make
actually,
it
yeah, I saw something
a
about
certain
that.
size. And that was unenforceable.
Really? Okay.
I mean, they could regulate the size, but they couldn't make them change the color of their logo.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at that, but,
Yeah, I
But anyhow,
don't-
this,
I-
I'd
I-
like,
Yeah,
And keep in mind, a lot of this does not come in front of the board. Let's say, you know, Dunkin' Donuts goes out of business and somebody new wants to come in, they're not changing the use. Signage doesn't have to come in front of the board. This is something, you know, good for me to be able to,
right.
but I can see where, you get the, you know, national players insisting that they have,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to
there.
it. but-
Yep.
yeah, I mean, most of them that I've run across, you know, the sign package is the logoed, you know, box that you see.
Yeah.
And then some of them like to, who are, you know, a little higher class, have some neon backlighting to create a wash around it, which wouldn't change any of the dimensioning that we're talking about now. We're going after somebody who wants to turn their entire building into a sign, and I don't think we're gonna be winding up in court if we
Right.
say
Yeah,
your building isn't trademarked.
right.
Yeah,
But-
and
No,
trademarks,
especially-
trademark's the wrong word, but you know what I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it's that, you know, standard design.
No,
All right.
guess we'll find out.
Yep,
okay.
all right.
Yeah,
So-
I think that, you know, changing this language is not likely to have an effect anywhere else
No,
in the
specific to this.
regulations. So I think we're all right on that.
Okay.
On that score.
All right, I'll start
So,
sending that out.
yeah,
and
why don't we do
Get
that?
that ready. Most likely our second meeting next month.
Yeah, but, yeah, okay. All right, good. Anything else under new business?
Nope.
Report of the zoning enforcement officer.
Don't really have too much, just a reminder, we have to replace Judy as vice chair.
Move to adjourn?
Not yet.
No, sorry.
We have to, so that will be on our next agenda, so think long
we
and
ha-
hard if you don't already have a position with the board that,
Jay, how you doing?
so we'll have to replace her, but other than
Does
that.
everyone have a, I don't even know, does everyone have a position?
You're
the
secretary, chair,
That's
so.
why-
Have I been abdicating my responsibilities?
No, that's
No.
why you read the legal notices. You read the legal
I was
notices.
just
I
about
read
to
the legal
fire,
notice.
I was just about to fire you, too.
I think we should reward Paul's long and checkered career as a zoning commissioner with
Second.
vice
Public servant.
chairmanship.
Dedicated, loyal
And
public servants, how you gonna,
Double your salary,
just like at the office,
no problem.
just like at the office.
All right, good. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right, I told you it was gonna be a short meeting.
Okay.
All right, yes, a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, very good. Thank you.
Jay?